the Lakhani Group Global, crafting the future of hospitality in venture capital.
We welcome you to our exclusive webinar in partnership with our good friends at SUO Global. In here with us today, we have a very talented panel of guests. I will start with our guests, Suren Upal, the founder and director of SUO Global, and Mr. Rukum Satyart, who's a business strategy analyst. These are our guests. And then in the TLG team, we have, of course, our CEO, Rahim Lakhani, our Chief Strategy Officer, Afsana Lakhani, and our Director of Business Development, Mr. Carlos Kini. I welcome you all to this webinar, and we are, of course, eager to see what you have in store for us today. In what comes to myself, my name is Martin. I will be the moderator for today. And I would like to start by giving you a very brief disclaimer that nothing that you see during this webinar will constitute any type of tax, financial, even investment advice, but rather just an information for the benefit of our viewers. In what comes to what brings us here today, we are presenting our product, which is called LUXE One. This is a Latvia residency by investment program, and I believe no one is better to tell us a little bit about the history of our group than our own Afsana Lakhani. So Afsana, welcome, and over to you for a brief explanation.
All right. Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Martin, and thank you all for joining us today. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, and I'm thrilled to present this segment of the webinar to introduce the Lakhani Group Family Office and our global team. So who are we? Who is the Lakhani Group? So Lakhani Group Global is headquartered in Portugal with over 40 years of experience in real estate, hospitality, and immigration. We are currently managing over 27 active projects with a track record of over 1,000 golden visa applications and 130 million asset portfolio and more than 300 investors. This is a big statement and it reflects who we are. We are incredibly proud of our journey and the milestones we have achieved so far. And with regards to our partners and brands, now, let me take a moment to highlight the proud partnership and growing portfolio of our brands. One of our key cloud partners is Wyndham Hotels and Resort, which is in India commonly known as Ramada Worldwide. We are also grateful for our collaboration with NXM Accounting, who have been instrumental in our success. As you can see below, our brands span across various sectors from hospitality and construction to legal, supply chain, and technology. We are expanding every day, exploring new opportunities, growing across industries. Our brands are thriving, and we are so excited about the future as we continue to innovate and deliver excellence. Our portfolio, you can see it's ranging from very diverse projects we are currently working on. Our portfolios includes L Towers, L Offices, L Students, Residences, as well as L Hotels, which are the part of trademark collection by Wyndham. We also have Ramada Residences, Wyndham Garden, Wyndham Residences, L Wellness Resort. We are developing to dedicate it to wellness and luxury. Today, this portfolio represents over 1,000 keys to be delivered by Q4 of 2025. This is a collective effort of our team, of an incredible team, and we are proud to bring the mix of construction and hospitality projects to Portugal this year. These projects are a testament of our commitment to innovation, excellence in this industry. Let's talk numbers and the fund performance. So finally, let's have a look at our class and business fund, which is a regulated fund overseen by CMVM, the Securities Commission here in Portugal. This is the ultimate license a Portuguese company can hold, and we are privileged to have this at our TLG Capital Segoy. Currently, we are managing a portfolio of worth 105 million with 11 active projects. Our internal rate of return stands at an impressive 17.7 with an appreciate rate of 151%. These numbers reflect our commitment to delivering value to our investors. The Oasis Fund, for example, currently has 23 million invested in smart hospitality project with a zero loan to value ratio. We are performing exceptionally well, exceeding investor expectations. Now the question is, are you ready to take the next step? Shortly, Mr. Rahim Lakhani will present an exciting investment opportunity in Latvia with a minimum investment of 100,000 euros. You will gain access to stable economic and legal framework as well as a clear pathway to residency in Europe. We'll be happy to provide any additional information you need. We look forward to welcoming you into TLG Global family. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll now hand it over to Martin for our next segment.
Thank you, Afsana, for the great explanation about our company. Now it would be great to hear a little bit about our guests, and that's why I will give the word to Mr. Hukum Satyart, who will provide us with an overview on what SUO Global does and how they can help you. So, Mr. Hukum, please take it away.
Thank you for the introduction. So SUO Global is a legal tech firm, and our current venture, excuse me, is about bringing investment into Europe and the European Union in particular. So when you talk about places like Latvia, Portugal, Spain, they are fast becoming the next hubs, whether you're talking about innovation, whether you're talking about startups, whether you're talking about good rates on investment, all of those good things. Now, the thing is that we realized once people get into these places, in our own interaction with our target clientele, they are usually at a loss for figuring out how to proceed. So, okay, you put in your visa application, but what next? Let's say you got a golden visa. What next? So we particularly cater to these sort of people. What we do is we occupy this very exclusive sort of a niche where we build a client-centric profile of the things that they can do, the places that they could do it at, and the immense benefits of just engaging with the European Union startup ecosystem, the businesses there, the sort of growth you have, the sort of professional opportunities you have. So we do essentially that from end to end. From the day you just even start thinking about going to these sort of countries, based on your preferences, your needs, your familial obligations, your budget, your previous skills, all of that is taken into account, and we craft a very carefully curated business plan for these guys. And it includes market entry, it includes help with finding out joint ventures, partners, collaborators across the spectrum, whether it's tourism, whether it's technology, whether it's agri-tech, waste management, like whatever your skill might have been. It could be in auto spares, it could be in glassware, it could be in furniture. We hold those keys, and we strengthen our relationships that way. We are proud to have a very robust global network of law firms, of immigration professionals who help us turn these dreams into reality.
Perfect. Thank you, Hukum. Now I'd like to give all a bit of brief about our also our guest, Mr. Suren Upal. Suren is a revered advocate of the Indian Supreme Court, is a consummate entrepreneur and a longtime yogi. His work spans policy advisory on matters of FDI, intellectual property, and automobiles, as well as a global corporate advisory. Mr. Suren is the founder and the director of SUO Global, and it would be great to hear a little bit about yourself also. Mr. Suren, please, over to you.
And thank you, Afsana. Thank you for organizing this event. I would not want to take much of time. Rather, I would want that let Rahim take the lead, consequent to my finishing my talk, and we could actually get into some interaction, which is what I'm looking up to. So, as Hukum also mentioned, I believe what the LUXE group is doing, what the team of Rahim, Afsana, and the other team members of Lakhani group are doing. That's, I think, somewhere or other a fabulous, because it's the trust issues which take away the possibilities of people going abroad and going beyond one's own. So when it comes to Europe, the country, I mean, the continent with multiple countries, jurisdictions, languages, but unbelievable bouquet of different flowers, possibilities, and scope. And that is where, if you can get somebody to help you ascertain and make your journey of entry into Europe a certain process, a predictable process, then it goes a long way. And we work alongside with the Khani Group and with many other colleagues and friends of ours in helping people lay down their foots, lay down and stand on their legs to do something which is where they can become entrepreneurs, start their own companies, being startup ventures. And that's a journey which go in collaboration, wherein one could be secured with their entry into Europe, with the kind of offerings that Lakhani Group is giving, and then the journey to make your stay a very successful experience for you. So, I mean, we can talk more about it. I leave it to Rahim and Martin to take it further. And again, happy to be here and happy to be connected to all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, in what comes to our own company and why we are doing what we are doing, I want to introduce everyone to our director, Carlos Quirin. Carlos is responsible for the oversight on all commercial matters in what comes to TLG Global. And for sure, no one is better to give us an explanation on the European Golden Visa opportunities that we have here than Carlos. So, Carlos, please take it away. Carlos, I believe you are on mute.
Am I audible now?
Now you are. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Martin, for those so kind words. I'll try to be at the level that you put me. No pressure. Thank you for that. So, yes, as you were saying correctly, so we have... so thank you for the introduction of TLG and to our guests as well, of course. And we are here not to launch, but to reinforce the recently launched product in Latvia, which aims to be, does not aim to be, it is actually right now a game changer in the European residency scheme for several factors. So just to give you an idea, we are talking about a product that from a price standpoint is totally different from what exists at this moment in the rest of Europe. But about the country, before going into the product, so just to give you a quick highlight. So Latvia borders with Lithuania, Belarus, Russia, and Estonia, is a country from the European Union and the Schengen space, and also a NATO country, added to NATO. And of course, also actually has a very modern infrastructure, apart from having as well in terms of architectural buildings, buildings with 8, 9, 10 centuries of history, which is really, really beautiful. But it balances that with really modern infrastructure implemented in the country. The capital is Riga, as you also should know. And of course, provides you some, I would say, some really important things like access to free healthcare and access to free education, okay, for the residents of the country, okay. Apart from that, some also curiosities is it has a GPD of 60 billion, okay, and it's of course important to reinforce that it's a political and social stable country, member of the EU and NATO as well. We can move on to the next slide. Latvia has a criteria of eligibility for the Golden Visa program, okay? So we have, and to clear this out, because our attendees, and you will find it, of course, online. You have three options of obtaining the Latvian Golden Visa, which is the temporary residency, which is given for 5 years, this permit of temporary residency, okay? Which allows you to live, work, and study, and travel within the entire Schengen space, okay? So you have three options. One of the options is the investment in real estate of a minimum of 250,000 euros, okay? Which is not so popular because there are other programs in Europe that kind of offer the same in other locations. And then you have the other option of investing in the share capital increase of an existing company or creating your own company in Latvia, okay? So it has to be a Latvian legal established company, okay? Has to be a legitimate business, of course, have some financial viability. And then you have two options in this route of companies. So there is a possibility of investing 50,000 euros in a company. This company needs to generate 40,000 euros in taxes per year, and it can onboard a maximum of 10 investors or 10 new shareholders in the company. Then it's a cap, and no more shareholders can enter in the company. This creates a challenge, of course, to developers like us, because to develop a project like we are developing in Latvia, which is a hotel, a smart hotel in the center of Riga, branded by Wyndham, it's the leader hospitality brand in the world with more than 9,000 hotels, which are open right now, 9 with them. But as I was saying, this creates a challenge for us. Also, in terms of the investment, increases the risk. Why? Because typically the 50,000 euro option with a cap of 10 investors per company, the company that receives investment can only raise 500,000 euros. So it limits the project and the expansion of that company. Typically, companies that do this and that have been doing are small companies like restaurants or car wash or other small businesses that the growth potential is, limited by this scheme that is allowed in the law. So typically the risk is higher and tends to be also more expensive, because if the business is not going well, usually what happens is the shareholders need to keep injecting money in the company, okay? The other option, which is the option that we can say that we created or we are creating, of course, the option was already there in the law, but nobody was doing because it demands a lot of effort and investment, of course, to have this option available for investors. But it provides a lot of security and safety. So after a lot of time spending in Latvia, talking to the authorities, doing our own, homework, due diligence, we decided to create and give this option to our investors and to our partners to talk with their clients, because it will, of course, give them much more comfort than the 50K option. So we are talking about an investment of 100,000 euros in a Latvian company. This company needs to comply with the following: needs to have a 10 million annual turnover in the company, needs to have a minimum of 50 employees, and generate 100,000 euros in taxes. So our company, we have more than one company, but L Hotels Latvia, which has 2 more subsidiaries, right now generates, complies with that minimum of 10 million annual turnover, has more than 50 employees, and also will generate more than 100,000 euros in taxes per year. Besides that, the social capital of the company, meaning the funds that were injected in this company, are 11.9 million euros. Okay, so this, we believe, that gives a lot more comfort to an investor in putting 100,000 euros, backed up and with this kind of comfort in a company with a social capital of 11.9 million and with a turnover 10 million plus. You can go to the next slide. So, and what is this product that I'm talking here about? So the product name is LUXE One. And what does LUXE One mean? So basically, LUXE One is an extension of what we are already doing in Portugal. And as Afsana so well explained before, at the beginning of the presentation. Right now, we are managing, we have an AUM and assets under management in Portugal around 130 million, and we are opening 4 hotels this year. In the next 3 to 4 months, they should be open. And we have partnered with Wyndham Resorts and Hotels, which has brands like Ramada and others. But we are not just opening hotels, we are opening smart hotels. So the concept is a smart hospitality. So this smart hospitality, of course, will provide exquisite accommodations, exceptional service, gourmet dining, and not just all and exclusive amenities. But it will also provide a new experience to the guests of the hotels. So this investment, it's a lot of investment in technology to give this, to provide with this smart hospitality technology to our hotels. Basically, to be able to have, of course, have robots, for example, in the restaurants serving you, helping in making the check-ins and check-out, but not just that, having some voice command to, for example, when you are in your room at 3 a.m. in the morning and the room service, usually they are not there or they don't pick up the phone, you know, with a simple voice command or a click on the button, you call the robot and tell him, I want a club sandwich right now and a Coca-Cola. And in 5 minutes, the robot brings it to your room, you pay to the robot and it's done, you know, with total privacy of your room in the hotel. So this is just one example of what our hotels will provide, not just in Portugal, but the target is also in the future to provide these services in Latvia. So explaining and going directly to the explanation of the product itself, as I already disclosed most of it, but we're talking about 100,000 minimum investment, okay, in the share capital of the company. Basically, the investor becomes a minority shareholder in L Hotels Latvia, okay? I remember that this company has almost 12 million social capital and generates an annual turnover over or more than 10 million per year. So the permit for residency is given for 5 years, which can be renewed for another 5 years, and so on, okay? In each application, you can include husband or wife and children until the age of 18, okay? If they are still below 18 on the date of submission, they are eligible and they can keep renewing their residency as long as they don't get married and start being dependents. They can continue renewing. Also, we provided 100% guaranteed buyback, okay? Apart from this, there is a 10,000 donation to the state budget, okay? So the investor invests 100,000 euros in the increase of share capital of the company and gets 100,000 euros back after 5 years, okay? Or if he wants to keep his investment and renew for more 5 years, he keeps the investment and keeps this card, of course. Once he withdraws the investment, he loses the card because the law requires to keep the investment to continue to be eligible. There is a 10,000 euros donation to the state budget, okay? This is not refundable. Before this webinar, we were just making the call with some clients as well, and we're explaining to them, and we are comparing Portugal to this. And actually, if we take a look, just one card in Portugal, I believe it will be increased the amount of the card from 6,000 to 8,000. Just one card for one applicant is almost the donation that needs to be made in Latvia. Okay, so comparing the options on the market, and talking about Portugal, but other programs as well. This to reinforce what? That the costs in Latvia of the applicant, I can disclose you here, we are talking about 2,500 for the entire program for the main applicant, okay? All the fees and all of that paid to the government, not to the developer. As a dependent, on average, each dependent will have to pay around 1,000 for the entire 5-year program in terms of fees to the government, okay? Plus, of course, the 10,000 euros donation, okay? So as I told you, this is a 5-year duration to renew after 5 years. The investment that LUXE one will do mainly in Latvia, in hotels in Riga, but the company may invest in other countries. If we see good business opportunities, we can deploy capital also in the countries nearby, for example, or other countries. The target size for this window is 10 million. Okay, so we are onboarding 100 investors. This does not mean that the program will shut down, but most likely we may create another product, LUXE2, for example, that can either aim for other sectors of investment apart from smart hospitality, for example, and also we don't know in the future what terms may be revised or not. So if you have any interest, I would urge you to talk, of course, with us or with your advisor that presented you this opportunity, and try to don't miss this window of opportunity because these conditions may not in the future be the same. Apart from this, we are also offering 7 days free stay to all of our investors, not just in Latvia, because our Latvian company will have in the next future a hotel in Latvia, the center of Riga, which when you go to Latvia, you need to go once a year, 1 day at least, to renew the card, not the permit of the residency permit, but the card has an expiration date of 1 year. It expires after 1 year. So we offer our investors 7 days free stay in any of our hotels in Latvia, in Portugal, or in the future, if we have hotels in other country, they can use it there as well. Okay, in terms of structure, so I already explained. So Hotels Latvia is a company of TLG Global, which is like, let's call it the mother company. Basically, this is the structure to be pretty simple to show that the investor, which is the new minority shareholder, okay, of course, we'll have to transfer the funds to the Hotels Latvia SIA bank account, okay? So this transfer is made, and with this proof of transfer, we can submit and the registration of the investor as a minority shareholder in the company. Having that registration been made, we are able to submit the application. Okay. In terms of structure, also to highlight here is that Latvia provides, and LUXE1 provides a collateral, a real estate project, which is Wyndham Residences Lisboa, an asset which its value right now is 23 million euros, which is the real estate collateral of the project, meaning Hotels Latvia owns these assets, okay? So being a minority shareholder in the company, this is also more comfort provided to the investor as they are investing in a company and not just a company that has zero assets, okay? And has nothing inside, and I'm investing 100,000 euros. The company already owns assets. It will own more assets as hotels, smart hotels that will be investing, hotel technology, and also hospitality education. Okay, so this is the big picture of the structure of LUXE1. So in terms of documentation process, we will provide, of course, we will send you the presentation to all the attendees, but just to give you an overall idea, what we need to kick off the process is to receive, of course, we need the client, okay, he understands everything, he has made the reservation, okay, of his slot. The reservation is a 10,000 euros reservation, which is refundable, of course. And the documents that we need is he needs to fill in the KYC, copy of the passport, and the proof of address, okay? And also we will be needing his police criminal clearance, so the criminal record, in order to submit in the future his application to the PMLP, which is the immigration authorities in Latvia, okay? Apart from that, he sent us a few more documents like the power of attorney. So, our team can also help him in, for example, taking care of his tax number in Latvia, and also to submit any other documents in name of the company. After that, deposits agreements are signed, he signs the shareholder agreement and transfer the funds. Okay, with those funds transfer, we can register him as a shareholder in L Hotels Latvia. If he wants to add dependents, for example, his wife, he needs to send the birth certificate, okay? And if children are also added in the application, he needs to send, the birth certificate for the children and the marriage certificate for the husband or wife, okay? And we need also 2 photos then to submit the application, bank statements, the 26 bank statements, applying, needs to provide about insurance that can be used abroad, and then make a donation after it's approved to the state budget. Looking into the investment calculator, let's call it like that. So the reservation, as I told previously, is a 10,000 euro reservation, and the remaining to complete the investment is 100,000 euros. Okay, so the reservation is refunded also the 10,000 euros. So if you can move into the next slide. So just to also give you a perspective here, in terms of cost calculator, we are talking about for the main applicant a total of around 2,465 euros for the whole 5-year program. Okay, in terms of immigration costs for the dependent, we are talking about per dependent around 1,000 euros for the entire 5-year program. Okay, some miscellaneous costs as well included, like if you wishes to open a bank account, the bank account decoration, so around 1,000 to 2,000 euros for the 5 years as well. This will be the total cost in terms of fees and costs in admin costs, not to us, okay, but to the authorities and other institutions.
Perfect. Thank you, Carlos, for your great explanation on the product. Now, I would like to invite all our panelists to discuss what we have right in front of us. So this is a viewpoint. This was something that was shared with us by one of our viewers. And basically, the idea here is just to discuss between India and the European Union, surviving or thriving, of course, depending always on the different sector that is inserted into, but still would be great to hear from you guys. And maybe I would start with our dear guest, Mr. Suren Upal. What is your perspective on the relationship between India and the EU at the moment?
Wonderful. I think, thank you. It was a nice interactive session in the sense we happen to have a fair deal of understanding of what TLG is doing. Now, going further, topic sounds interesting, surviving or thriving. So that's when it comes to EU and India relationships, I consider it to be that these two places are natural allies to each other. One of the major reasons why I consider that they are natural allies is that European Union, if you see European Union is almost more than 80% of the whole Europe. And if we see the total population of Europe and we look at the demography of Europe, it is on a side wherein people are aging and there is demographic advantage or complementing demography from India, which is where our average age is around 27 to 28, the median age, and the median age of Europe is now in its 40s. So India happens to be a country which has the most promising youth, and Europe has the most aging population out of all the continents. So that is where I see, and then off late there has been certain geopolitical developments, which is where we also see that India has traditionally been a neutral country. throughout from the non-alignment nations, those regimes of Mr. Nehru. Till date, I would still say that in spite of people considering that it is going right wing, but the reality is that still India holds a position wherein it can contribute majorly, uh, being a very neutral country. Indians have been considered to be one of the most productive people and one of the most contributing people to the economies when it comes to North America. Interestingly, we all probably know that in US, the most richest, I mean, the richest ethnic community is from India. We do not know that. Many don't know that it's exactly the case in Germany. In Germany, the richest ethnic community is from India. Then in London, the real estate, the maximum real estate is owned by Indians. So is the case in Dubai. And the trend is ongoing. And I see a lot of people from India, and the numbers who officially go out of India in terms of the number of millionaires who go out of India and they settle down internationally permanently is one of the highest in the world. So it is around, it competes with China, it competes with Russia, and there's hardly any competition thereafter. And if we look at it in India, given the fact that there is requirement of TCS, which is there is tax collection at source to the tune of around 20% of the investments which are beyond $250,000 in an annual basis of an individual. Uh, it doesn't really come out very officially that how many millionaires have actually gone out, because that's a limit of 250,000, beyond which a person cannot send in money and he would not qualify as a millionaire. So, in reality, the millionaires who are going out of India are the highest in the world. If we really look at in reality that the people who are able to send their money in the name of their wife, their near and dear ones, and then they collectively buy businesses and properties outside. So Indians are going out of the country, and the reason I would not want to say that India is a bad country, that's why they are going. There may be many opinions to that effect, but the question is of thriving. The question is not about surviving. The question is about growing internationally and making a mark for yourself. India is now house to 6,000 clusters of MSMEs. India is a house to a lot of intrinsic and inherent knowledge that it has acquired over thousands of years, and that is ready to be tapped and used and capitalized internationally by the Indian companies, Indian entrepreneurs. And what we see is that the projects like the one which PLG Group has brought in, which is one of the smoothest and the easiest and the surest way to enter into Europe with an amount of 100,000 euros. Once you spend in and enter into Europe, the life starts from there. In the sense, it gives you an official entry into Europe. And I must tell that those days are gone when Europe would have been open to people who come by any means, and then it is still open or embraces them, because now, because of a lot of issues, Spain has been seeing that, Portugal has seen that the country's policymakers do not now encourage illegitimate entries. It wants people with the right set of intentions, people which can contribute to the economy, and the test is that whether they are good for the country, whether they are contributing to the country. Now, these are very important things. But at the same time, I would say that one should look at Europe to be an area of or continent of opportunities. The biggest fact is you are entering into a continent. Latvia, I would not say Latvia, Portugal, Spain, or any of these countries are to be seen and should be seen as individual countries. They are actually a conglomerate of countries like states in India. And overall, the freedom and the possibilities of doing business in terms of movement of goods or services across the European Union nations is more easy than doing business in, say, India from one state to another state. Because the kind of regulations that Indian people and businessmen have to go through for maybe becoming a manufacturer in Tamil Nadu and doing the business in Karnataka or in northern India, there are a whole lot of issues relating to the federal structure, the state to state tax, the state to state norms, licenses, and whole lot of things. which is almost like, there is a bureaucracy, but easy and very smooth, predictable, and no corruption, no norms, no confusion. You can do that very well in Europe. Plus, the population more less than 1/6 of the population of around India, and the kind of GDP which is of Europe is almost 5 times of India. You could scale it up that you have the population which is 1/5 to 1/6 of India, and the economy is around 5 times of India. So the possibilities of people enter into Europe at this stage is, I think, unimaginable. And one of the opportunities that I would want to share with everyone here is, once you enter into and you have a legal right to reside, some when you want to become an entrepreneur, and there are a lot of countries which offer you entrepreneur visas and other visas, but the real test that the government has to then undertake is whether what you are doing is in the interest of the country. And a lot of businesses fail. A lot of businesses which I may want to choose, I may want to really set up a business which according to the government of a particular country may not be its priority, so they may not be an entrepreneur visas. However, let's say you enter into Latvia or Portugal through golden visa process, you are already there. You are there, you can take up a business opportunity, even if that doesn't really get into the scheme of things of the government, but it's very beneficial, very lucrative to enter into. So you can do very smart businesses. I mean, we have kind of enabled takeovers of businesses in Switzerland, in Portugal now, in a couple of other countries, in Germany, in Austria, wherein the returns were 20%, 25, 30% of on the annual basis, and you could recover sometimes the investment in just 1.5 years time, and then there was a huge profit waiting for you for the future efforts that you make. So I would say that entry into Europe probably could be the best decision in the lives of many, many people who may want to really bet on better healthcare, education, work-life balance, peace, and overall possibilities of growth across a whole continent, which offers unbelievable opportunities in terms of businesses and trade, commerce, and a whole lot of things. So I would end with this, and if there are any things that come up, I would want to pitch in and chip in at that point of time. But thank you for the time.
Perfect. Thank you. That was for sure a very compelling view of the relationship between India and the EU. And for sure, a lot of people, a lot of our viewers can take a lot of good information out of it. So thank you, Mr. Stern, for that. Now we have a couple of questions that our viewers are asking. The first one is, can I apply for the Latvia Golden Visa while residing in another country? I think Carlos can take this question, please.
Yes, sure. So I don't know if I understood correctly the question. So first, you can only apply if you reside in another country. So I don't know if the idea is to ask if you're residing in another European country, if that is the question. But well, I'll try to answer the best way I can. Yes. So if you're residing in another country, you can apply for the Latvian Golden Visa. So that's the whole idea, to provide you with a residency in Latvia, to become a resident of Latvia. And then you can, of course, again, you don't have the obligation to go and live and work and study in Latvia, but you can. And also provides you access to the entire Schengen space, and to travel within the 26 countries of Schengen. Another aspect I want to highlight here is, for example, we had some, I don't know if the question was aiming this, but before we had some questions from other viewers asking, okay, if in the future I want to obtain Latvian residency, but I would like to work in Germany or Italy or France, okay, can I do it with this card? Can I not do it? So the card allows you to work in Latvia, okay, but as an European resident, after 18 months of residency, you can apply for the EU Blue Card. So the EU Blue Card is accessible to any resident, not just Golden Visa investors, to any resident of an European country. And after 18 months of having a residency in Europe, you can apply for this EU Blue Card, which allows you to work in any country in Europe. Okay. Of course, you need to show the proof that you are working and the employment contract. But for example, yes, you can have a residency card in Latvia, and after 1.5 years, if you see a job opportunity to work in Germany or Portugal, or you can work there without being because without more than 183 days out of residing out of the country, because your tax address, your fiscal address will be changed. But with the EU Blue Card, yes, you can. Okay, so applying for it and going work in another country, that's your option. I hope I.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Carlos. I believe we have one more question for you, so please don't go anywhere. This question goes: does Latvia require national language as mandatory for residency?
So I can also address that question and answer that question. So for the TRC, no. Okay. Again, the question, if I'm understanding correctly, if to acquire residency, does he need to have to make a language test? I believe that is the question. That is necessary after 5 years. If you aim and apply for permanent residency and ultimately you request your citizenship, you will have to make a Latvian test, which is at the PMLP offices. Okay, but this would be a timeline of 9 years. For the 5 years, it's a 150-hour course of Latvian. Okay, you of course do not need mandatory language to be Latvian. You can have a temporary access to the residency card, and you are not obliged to, of course, have the mandatory language as Latvian. But you need to take 150 hours within the 5 years of a language course of Latvian.
If I may add on to this answer, what you actually require is only when after the naturalization process of 10 years, of 5 years of residency, another 5 years of PR, and only when a person is now all set to become a citizen, that he'll have to then qualify for the language as well as some history and some study of Latvia.
Exactly.
Till that time, and if he wants to continue the residency or the PR, there is no requirement whatsoever.
Exactly. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. So this concludes this week's webinar. We thank all of you that were our esteemed panelists today. We also want to thank our guests that were with us for this better part of 1 hour. And of course, as you already know, we will be here next week at the same time to give you more insights on our programs and our products. Everyone, thank you so much once again, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
The Laccani Group Global, crafting the future of hospitality in venture capital.